The brothers did not know they were selling a savior into the dark. The Ishmaelites did not understand they were transporting the keys to a kingdom. And the Egyptian markets had no idea who was standing on the auction block. But heaven knew, because you cannot destroy a man chosen by God without destroying the plan itself. And that is not something heaven allows. But why would the architect of time allow his chosen vessel to be shattered by the very hands meant to protect him? It was not a tragic accident of sibling rivalry. It was a calculated descent into the deep. This is the life of Joseph, told from the other side. Dawn broke over the hills of Dothan. A 17-year-old boy walked through the dust. He carried bread in his satchel and dreams in his chest. But the weight of both was nothing compared to what walked beside him unseen. Envy. Hands that once shared bread now tear at his garments like the claws of a desert wolf. As he is cast into the dry cistern, the darkness is absolute, a cold contrast to the scorching Canaanite sun. Yet in that suffocating silence, a faint light stirs. A traveler's flask, dropped by a panicked hand, settles near his feet, a small, cool mercy in a place of death. It was a sign that the eye that never sleeps was fixed upon the bottom of that hole. If God is for him, why is he currently being sold for 20 pieces of silver? Legions of celestial warriors stood at the perimeter of the physical world, their blades unsheathed and burning with the fury of the stars. They watched the transaction. They counted the silver coins, each one a clink of treason against the lineage of the promise. These heavenly hosts possessed the power to level the caravan, to strike the brothers blind, and to carry the boy back to the safety of his father's tents on the wings of a whirlwind. Yet, the command from the throne was a harrowing silence. Imagine for a moment that you are a father, watching your child being dragged away in chains, knowing you have the keys to his cage, but being forced to keep them in your pocket. This was the divine restraint, a holy holding of the breath. The garment of favor had been stripped away, replaced by the rough wool of a slave. This was the recurring price of the promise. To be clothed in glory, one must first be stripped of every earthly comfort. The silence of heaven was not an absence of love, but the presence of a plan too massive to be seen by human eyes. The darkest implication remained. To save his people, the boy had to be utterly lost. On the earth track, we see a Hebrew slave navigating the labyrinth of Potiphar's house, his every step shadowed by the whisper of false accusations and the cold iron of a prison cell. He is a victim of a woman's scorn and a master's pride. But on the heaven track, the perspective shifts entirely. The unseen realm does not see a prisoner. It sees a student in the University of Sovereignty. Every day in that Egyptian dungeon was a lesson in the administration of a kingdom. While the world saw a man rotting in the dark, the spirit saw a man being refined like gold in a furnace of 3,000 degrees. The garment of favor was no longer a coat of many colors. It was now the invisible shroud of resilience that kept his soul from breaking. Was he forgotten by the cupbearer? Yes. Was he abandoned by the King of Kings? Never. The dramatic irony of the dungeon is that the bars were not there to keep Joseph in, but to keep the world out until he was ready. He was being hidden in the shadow of the Almighty's hand, tucked away like a seed in the soil. The pressure was mounting, the walls were closing in, and the air in the cell was growing thin. The moment of total eclipse had finally arrived. 13 years of silence. 2 years of being forgotten in a hole. The darkness was total. Joseph sat in the stench of the forgotten. Then the Pharaoh dreamed. One man's nightmare became another man's liberation. The hair was shaven. The prison rags were burned. In a single hour, the axis of the ancient world shifted on its hinges. From a human perspective, it looked like a lucky break for a talented dream teller. But from the eternal perspective, it was the climax of a cosmic rescue mission. The price of the pit had been paid in full. The transaction of the prison was complete. The garment of favor underwent its final transformation. It was no longer a father's gift or a prisoner's shame. It was now the fine linen of the Prime Minister of Egypt. What was once a symbol of his brother's hatred became the uniform of their salvation. He stepped out of the shadows and into the light of the throne room, standing before the most powerful man on earth. He did not tremble. He did not beg. He spoke with the authority of a man who had walked through the fire and found the fourth man in the flames. The edge of the world was waiting for his word. The famine arrived like a scythe, but the bonds of Egypt were bursting. When the 10 brothers finally knelt before the man they had once tried to murder, the circle was closed. The unseen realm erupted in a symphony of vindication. Joseph did not come to seek revenge. Joseph came to preserve a remnant. The curiosity of why he had to suffer find its answer in the faces of the hungry. The pit was his classroom, and the prison was his throne room. Without the betrayal, there would have been no bread. Without the chains, there would have been no kingdom. The garment of favor was finally revealed to be a tapestry of providence, woven with threads of both gold and coal. Every tear he shed in the dark was a drop of rain that ensured the harvest of the future. The invisible hand had been moving the chess pieces for 20 years to reach this single moment of mercy. You were never being punished. You were being prepared. If you are standing in your own season of silence right now, remember that the darkness is often the womb of your destiny. Leave a comment below for the person who is losing heart today. Your words might be the small mercy they need to survive their pit. Like this video to carry this message of hope to someone who feels forgotten by God. Heaven is not ignoring you, it is refining you.